So we're going to work on circle and bar graphs, and the first one we're going to do is circle graphs. So let's say I have some data like right here, where I've got 4 types of blood types. There's type A, type B, type AB, and type O. Let's say I surveyed a bunch of people and we found out that type A, 40% of the people, type B, there were 12% of the people, type AB was 5%, type O was 43%. Okay. So I'm going to make a circle graph. In order to do that, I need to think about what that number, that 40% is. That's 40% of my whole. Now, a circle has how many degrees? You should be able to tell me it's 360. So I need to figure out what 40% of that 360 is. So for our purposes, anytime I have a decimal, I'm going to round to the nearest whole. So that way I'll have the nearest whole percent, the nearest whole degree of my circle. So if I did type A, which is 40%, I would do 360 times 0.4, right? Like 360 times 0.4, because that's 40%. That would give me 144. So type A, that is 144 degrees. Type B, I would do 360 times 0.12, that would give me 43. So that's 43 degrees. Make sure that these are right there. Okay. Next one, 360 times 0.05. That should give me 18. So this is 18 degrees. And finally, with type O, we would do 360 times 0.43, and we would get 155. So therefore, it's 155 degrees. And forgive me that some of that looks a little messy, but it'll make sense in a bit. So now we're going to actually make the circle graph from our data. If you remember, type A, we said, was 40%, which was 144 degrees. So I'm going to cut this circle up into roughly 144 degrees. I'm going to do my best. Now this is a best estimate, okay? So it would be kind of like this, roughly. Okay, this is type A, and it was 144 degrees. Okay, type B, which was 12%, is 43 degrees. Now that's a little less than 90, so, I'm sorry, that's a little less than half of 90. So we would make that about this, and we would say that's type B, and that is 43 degrees. We had type AB, which is 5%, and that is 18 degrees. So we'll make that about this, and we'll say that is type AB, and that was 18 degrees. That leaves our type O to be 155 degrees. And again, I apologize, it's a little messy and a little imperfect, but I think that the general idea, the gist of this should be understood. A couple of key facts to remember is that when you make the circle graph, please put your degree measurement inside. Label it. So like I need to see that it needs to say type O and it was 155 degrees, because I need to make sure that you understood that you got the degree measurements correct. So please label 155 degrees, 144 degrees, etc. All right? So I found this data table in our old pre-algebra book, and it was a really good example of how to use the data and make it into a bar graph. So this data table, as you can see, talks about the different states: California, Florida, Illinois, New York, and Texas. And it compares their population. What it actually compares is their population for ranges. So it says for age 25 to 34 and age 75 to 84. So this would be really helpful to put into a bar graph. So let's go ahead and do that. So this bar graph actually, if you'll notice, has 2 bars. So we call that a double bar graph. The reason being because it compares 2 data on the same graph. So as you can see, we have the age in the teal color is the 25 to 34 for each state, and we have our yellow color, which is the 75 to 84 for each state. Pretty simple idea. On your y-axis is your population, and on the x-axis is our states. Now remember, our states, they can't change. That's why they're independent. So those are our x-axis. Our populations can vary or change, which is why they are on the y-axis. So as you see there, I went for each state, and I put the two different values side by side so that we could easily see and compare them. And that is a bar graph.